actually in this west central and southwestern part of the state, and a tornado watch is on down to the south. So this severe thunderstorm watch has been expanded a little bit down, and we do have the tornado warning that's in effect just on the far southwestern fringe of the viewing area for KATV, and we're going to continue to watch that storm and its potential to produce a tornado. This warning goes until 5 o'clock. We don't know if that will be extended or not, but of course, if it is, we will be here with you to let you know all about it. A new watch is coming out from the Storm Prediction Center, and I'm just giving you this kind of in real time as I'm reading about it here. But the Storm Prediction Center will have to do something as far as expanding that watch area, because this watch goes until 5 p.m. So if they're going to extend it, they're going to have to either move it down some, and it may or may not be a tornado watch. I can't imagine that it wouldn't be a severe thunderstorm watch, given the strength of the atmosphere, but we'll continue to watch it and see if that is indeed the case. All right, let's go back. We'll go back to radar here, and I want to show you the kind of a wider view of that southwestern part of the state. You can see some heavier showers and thunderstorms moving up north of Arkadelphia from Gray Lake on up to almost Hot Springs right now. So that'll be moving up through in Lake Hamilton. There, some heavy rainfall along with this, but nothing that looks like severe weather. I'll also look at the hail potential with that, and yeah, doesn't look like a lot of hail potential with that storm, but there is a little bit right there on storm scan and some hail potential within the tornado warning area as well. This is our view from the Little Rock radar of this storm. We'll see if we can get a little bit better presentation right there. That's the rotation area, but again, it's looking at about 10,000 feet up in the atmosphere, so it's hard to get a great idea of what's happening in that lowest level of the atmosphere, below 3,000 feet. And yeah, that's running at about 11,000 feet, looking at that storm right there from the Little Rock radar. If we go to the Shreveport radar, it's a little bit closer, and there definitely is a little appendage hanging down on the bottom of that. It's still, though, looking at about 7,000 feet. So it's definitely closer to the Shreveport radar right there. The storm is a supercell. It's the only one that is a supercell around. There are some rain showers around it, but it's by far the biggest game in town right there. It looks like it's some other supercells trying to form in far northeastern Texas. So that's what the Storm Prediction Center will be looking at. They could add a tornado watch into effect for southern Arkansas. I think that's where the greatest instability is. A lot of us have been rain-cooled, or we are north of the boundary up in the northern part of the state. So the threat for severe weather is pretty low there. But this southern part of the state has more energy with it. There's not a lot of what we call shear in the atmosphere. Winds coming from a different direction at the ground and up above, and inducing some spin in the atmosphere. And so that's a limiting factor for these storms. But this storm is trying to produce a tornado if it's not producing a tornado right now. And yeah, it's really hard to see from a long way away, but that would be the point in the storm where you see that little hook hanging down on the reflectivity, and I'll go back to that real quick. So it would be right in there that we're looking at, but it's really hard to see the velocity product or the wind field inside this storm. One going one way, one going the other. Hail-wise with this storm, yeah, there's not a lot to it. And the Shreveport office, again, okay, the Shreveport office says there's going to be a severe thunderstorm watch coming for a good part of that south Arkansas area, or at least a small, primarily a wind threat and hail threat, but you can't rule out a tornado. And that's really what I'm talking about. This storm now and the rotating part of it over in Nevada County. But the atmosphere is just not great for tornadoes tonight, and that's a good thing. But it does there is a hail potential and a wind potential with this storm, because, and all of these storms that will be coming up out of Texas, just because of the kind of the nature of the wind field above. It's more in one direction than it is coming from two different directions there. again, looking out into northeastern Texas, those are the storms that are going to prompt that watch being issued, and we'll see what happens there. But in Nevada County, there is a tornado warning in effect, and we continue to watch this storm that has some rotation with it as it moves off to the east. All right, yeah, just looking at this storm, yeah, I don't see a lot with it except that little tail that does hang down on the bottom of the storm. Let's go back to our other radar or our other source if we can, and you'll see the big area of rainfall moving over a broad area there, and these storms are going to move over the same area. That limits their severe potential, but it's going to be heavy rain from Pike County to northwestern Clark County. Rain from Pike County to northwestern Clark County. Hot time rainfall. Here in the Little Rock area, we've got some light rain occurring right now. And then that one storm. Earlier, there was a storm that tried to get going in southern Clark County. And look at that, it's gone, completely gone. And I think this storm right here, depending on the environment out in front of it, if indeed it is raining out there as it appears. Okay, we've got a camera coming up, I think, here. Do we have? Okay, this is near Bowden on I-30, and okay, that's looking off to the westbound on I-30. Not sure. Yeah, so obviously heavy downpour with that storm, and traffic going very slowly there. It would be off to the east of I-30 if there was any rotation with this, but man, that is a downpour right there. Yeah, Boughton is up to the north side of this storm and north of Prescott, but down to the south of it is the area that we're looking at. And hopefully this rotation that we see with the storm will begin to kind of be diffused. The storm will die a little bit, but that little hook right there, that's why the Shreveport office is looking at this storm. And I'll back out and I'll show you where I was talking about on I-30. It was right about there that you saw that picture from I-30 of just heavy rainfall and in the vicinity of Prescott as well. Nevada County under a tornado warning for another 10 minutes or so. That is probably going to be extended if the Shreveport office, which they are the ones responsible for the tornado warnings there, if they continue or if they choose to continue that one. I'm going to go back and look at what the Little Rock office is looking at. Again, this is, even though it's in our viewing area, Shreveport has the forecasting duty for Nevada County, and that is the polygon that's in effect for northern Nevada County, but really it's the southern part. It's right there where the rotation is. They've issued it for a broad area where there is not any rotation, but that's what is done sometimes. You have a little bit larger area there. Let's go back. I'm going to go back, if I can, to the velocity on this storm. Looks like another rotating area there to the southeast of Prescott, but that is underneath a heavy rain and even a hail threat there. So that doesn't lead me to believe that there is a tornado within that part of the storm. It would be this southern part that we would be looking at if there is anything there. And velocity-wise, gosh, I don't know. There is some velocity product right there, but it's raining very heavily in that area. So if there was any rotation in that spot, there's so much rain with it. It would be rain wrapped, and it would be difficult for it to be there. Just looking at the presence or the portrayal of this storm, when you have a big supercell like that, it's right in there that you would be looking for the rotation. So there could be some wind along with this storm as it moves off to the northeast, but it will be quickly then moving off into the southern part of Clark County and then points off east into Ouachita County just a little bit later. This in effect until 5 o'clock. Our 5 o'clock newscast will be coming up. If we continue to see this rotation with it, We will be on the air during that. If it begins to relax a little bit, we'll be going to our 5 o'clock newscast here, and I'll be on the air showing you what we might expect for tonight and other rounds of thunderstorms coming through. Thunderstorm complexes, a number of them will be rolling through as we head through the next 4 or 5 days. For right now, Shreveport is continuing to watch this storm, and they are now coordinating the new watch that I talked about, the broad area, to be on the watch out for some severe weather. And I really think it's going to be concentrated in that southern part of the state rather than the northern part of the state. The National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center rather, will issue that watch if they deem it worthy of a watch. Still, this storm, if you just look at it, if we can go back to our storm scan, it does have that little appendage hanging down right there. It is kind of out by itself. There is some rain out around it, which does cool the atmosphere, doesn't make it quite as conducive, and the conditions aren't just right for a tornado anyway today. But it still is something that we have to watch because it does kind of look like that we could have some rotation there. Very difficult to see. If we go to the Little Rock radar, I think you're going to have to, it's shooting through the beam. And yeah, it's just very difficult to see because it's so far away. It does look like a rotating area there, but that, again, is not in the part of the supercell that you would anticipate a rotation within this storm. Storm is not moving very quickly. None of these storms are today. They're only moving off at about 25 miles per hour or so. So with it, and they're, yeah, with that storm, it's just not going anywhere fast. Looking at, yeah. Well, that's the storm that we have. It is a tornado warning, and anywhere in the viewing area when there's a tornado warning, that is our ultimate priority. Those of you who are watching Jeopardy, apologies to you. I know that was going on and still is, but we'll be going with this storm up until the beginning of our 5 o'clock newscast. And if they continue this past 5 o'clock and reissue, we'll be going into our 5 o'clock newscast as well. But it's a storm that we're going to have to continue to watch, and I'm just trying to look at this, the rotating part there, and it's, I think what we're seeing here, in fact, I'm pretty sure what we're seeing here is rotation, but it's at 9,000 feet up in the atmosphere because the beam, because of the curvature of the Earth, the beam shoots straight out, and so you're seeing at 9,000 feet some rotation. But if you look at the surface product from it at the Shreveport radar, and down at the surface, where you would anticipate if there is any rotation, it would not be up in this part of the storm. It would be in the lower levels, it would be in this part of the storm. So that's why those two areas of rotation are kind of offset, and that's why it makes it a little more difficult the farther you get from a storm from the radar side. And again, and the same thing's happening from the Shreveport site. That's running at about 7,500, 8,000 feet. So while there could be some rotation up in that part of the storm, 8,000 feet does not equal a tornado down at 100 feet. It's just looking at the higher part of that storm, which is rotating, and that's fairly common on some thunderstorms. They rotate but never produce a tornado, and we may be seeing that right here. Trying to figure out if they're going to reissue this or not. Shreveport is still, says that they're still busy looking at this storm. But there is some rotation up in the storm anyway, and that is within the tornado warned box. And this is in the far southwest corner of our viewing area. You folks down in Nevada County who watch us down there. It's out east of Prescott right now, north of Roston, and it'll be moving over toward Chittister coming up and into Washita County. Shreveport, they have forecasting. They have the forecasting responsibility for that county, and then this storm will be moving over toward Washita County We've gotten no indication of any damage or eyewitness reports of anything with this storm, but it is a tornado warning. And yeah, let's go back to the I-30 shot north of Prescott, just along the freeway there. And this storm has moved out to the east of there, so traffic has really picked back up. Obviously, it was a downpour a little bit earlier, but the storm now is well off to the east. And so traffic is moving rather freely on I-30 there as it moves east of the corridor. The Shreveport office, I wish they would give me a little indication of what they might be going to do with this storm. I don't think it looks quite as organized as it did. And again, they're having trouble seeing what's happening in that part of the storm, the part that we would be looking at. There is rotation up in this part of the storm, but that's high up above the ground. So they're going to have to decide what they're going to do because the tornado warning itself expires in just about 3 minutes. And then the Little Rock office will have to look at this storm as well as it moves over into Ouachita County. I think, yeah, so just reading about this storm. The National Weather Service in Little Rock has looked at this storm. They said, we think it's struggling, and that's a good thing. We don't want it to be a well-organized storm. But they're thinking about going with a severe thunderstorm warning for Ouachita County and probably maybe just a little bit of far southern Clark County as well. So a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible kind of tag on that severe thunderstorm warning. I don't think this storm is obviously producing a tornado at all. But I think what we're going to do is, and I'll just let you all know in the studio and our directors, that with the 5 o'clock news coming on right now, I think we're going to go ahead. I think we should. I think we're going to go ahead and go into our 5 o'clock newscast, and we'll come out. I'll give you an update on this as it moves off into Ouachita County. Actually, we're going to wait just a second. I'm going to wait for a few more scans of this, but then we'll be going to our 5 o'clock news as what we anticipate will be a severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning, is issued on over into the county here. And I think Shreveport is thinking along those lines as well. A new watch has been issued, and I'll give you the rundown on that. Severe thunderstorm watch. Yeah, it's been issued now, and it extends way down into Louisiana. So this one until 5 o'clock. This other one will be for much later than that, and that will be in effect. Well, I'm struggling to find out, but it'll be well into the evening, and it's mainly down to the south where there's a lot more instability. And there's 5 o'clock right there. All of our watch went away. This part of the watch will go away as well, and it will just be these southern counties that we'll be looking at for this evening. Tornado warning has expired with it as well. So at this time, we're going to go ahead into our 5 o'clock newscast, and we'll have an update on this and subsequent rounds of thunderstorms that are coming up our way.
From the station that's on your side, this is Channel 7 News at 5.
Okay, well, good evening to you. And as we come on the air tonight, there is more severe weather in Arkansas.
That's right, and it comes on the heels of last night's severe weather. Chief Meteorologist Barry Brandt starts us off tonight with what we can expect. You've been monitoring these storms. Yeah. Tornado warning.
Yeah, one tornado warning there. Shreveport, I think, saw a little rotation over the city of Hope. And then as it got east of Hope, it didn't sustain itself. And if you were listening to me there, the atmosphere isn't just right for tornadoes tonight. And that's great news on all of this. But still, there are going to be plenty of thunderstorms and strong ones at that. Let's go ahead and take a look at our watch area now, which has been issued. I'm still trying to find out the time of it, but I would assume it's until 10 o'clock tonight. Areas from southern Clark County, Dallas County, on down to the south. There's the large area of rainfall, and it's just rain. And to the north side of that, it's rain cooled. And once it starts pouring rain at your house, well, it really, the threat really starts to go down pretty quickly. But we're looking at a large area of rain that's moving through Hot Springs, through the northern part of Pike County, and then this storm right here. And for now, The National Weather Service has said that they're not issuing a thunderstorm warning with that. I'm going to look at it just a little more closely, but no, doesn't look like one has been issued with that. And so as we head through the evening hours, we're going to concentrate on that area and look. As we head into 7, 8, 9 o'clock, that area really starts to shift down into Louisiana. Some models showing a little thunderstorm activity late in the overnight and again down in South Arkansas. We'll see how rain-cooled that area is if it can sustain any severe thunderstorms, though. So we have rounds of rain coming. There'll be big breaks as well, but other chances of severe weather show up in this next 4 days, 5 days, and we'll have it all timed out for you coming up in just a couple of minutes.
Okay, thanks a lot, Barry. Well, you can stay weather aware by downloading the KATV Weather app. Just use the phone or the camera on your phone to scan the QR code right there on your screen. It will take you where you need to go. The app is free anywhere that you get apps for your phone.
Well, today in Washington, a House subcommittee with oversight of the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives held a hearing focused on the March shooting death of Little Rock Airport executive Brian Malinowski by ATF agents. The attorney for the Malinowski family, Bud Cummins, was among those who testified today. He questioned the legality of the ATF's execution of a search warrant at Malinowski's Chenal Valley home, an event that led to a deadly shootout. And he said the question of whether agents announced their presence that morning remains unanswered. Malinowski was under investigation for selling firearms without a license, but Cummins said the 53-year-old was at most a hobbyist who sold roughly 9 guns over 4 years. Cummins also argued the pre-dawn raid was unnecessary.
They want the target there because they want to surprise them, and this is part of the reason they go at 6 in the morning. They want to surprise them. They want them in their night clothes. They want their hair stand up. They want them scared, angry, shocked, and then they want to violate their 5th Amendment right to not incriminate themselves before they remember they have a 6th Amendment right to call their lawyers.
They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about other kinds of police raids. They want to talk about this police raid on Mr. Malinowski because it fits their narrative about how to dismantle